Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. I am Mr. Kadim Khan and I am a lecturer in the Institute of Computing, Quad University of Science and Technology. Today we will take lecture number 16 of the subject of Introduction to Computing, in which we will explore the Microsoft Access. Dear student, Microsoft Access is one of the softwares which comes in the Microsoft Office suite. The Microsoft Access is used to store a large amount of records in the databases. So Microsoft Access is one of the relational database management systems in which different records can be stored in the form of the tabular formats. Here, the rows of the tables is called the records, while the columns of the table is called the attributes of that particular informations. So this is very much important lectures because in the daily life we need to store different records of the different entities. So that's why it is very much interesting and useful lecture. This is the discussion agenda. It contains many topics including what is the Microsoft Access, how we can organize data inside of the Microsoft Access, and then we have the databases and relationships in the Microsoft Access, relational database management systems, exploring the Microsoft Access windows, and creating a table in the data sheet views, entering records in the tables, and then saving the tables, opening a databases, navigating a data sheets, and then creating a sample queries. And also we have us creating a sample forms, and the sample form is created of the database systems. And then we have the creating a sample report as well, which is used for the printing purpose. And viewing objects in the navigation pane is very much important. So these are different topics that we will cover in today's lecture. What is the Microsoft Access? Basically, the purpose of the Microsoft Access is to store the database. As its name indicates, the database contains different sort of records and each and every record contains the data. So database stores a large amount of information and Microsoft Access is one of the tools which is used to store the databases. Mostly the databases in the Microsoft or any other relational database management tools can be stored in the form of the table. As you can see, this is one of the table here. And it is the example of the tables and there are many attributes in this table. At this time we have 4 different attributes: customer ID, then we have first names of the customers and last names of the customers, and at the end we have the phone number of the customers. Here different information about the customers are stored in the form of this tabular format. And each and every cells contains the values. One row is called the records. Record contains the informations or the complete informations about that entity. Here the entity is the customer. And the full collection of rows and columns is called the tables. Every column contains informations which is relevant to that particular entity, and the entity is the customers. Like customer ID is one of the entity, first name, last name, phone number, these are different entities and these are the information about these entities, and all these information in the row format is called the record. Now database is basically the collection of tables, also called the databases or relational databases. So database contains certain sort of the tables. There may be at least one or more tables. And each tables can be accessed through the primary key. The primary key is the basic attributes which can be used to access the particular record. For example, student roll number is a primary key. Student registration number may also be an important primary key. In a university, when we access a particular student, that can be accessed through the primary key, for example, student registration number. And that primary key has an important attribute that it should be unique. Unique means we cannot assign one primary key to two different students. So one key can be assigned to only one particular student. But student name is not a primary key because it is possible that many students can exist with the same name. So primary key from a table field is a second table to form a relationship between two tables, and that is called the foreign key. When the primary key is also available in that another tables, then we can establish relation from one table to another table, and in the second table, that is primary key will be called the foreign key. For example, here we have two different tables. One is the customer table and second one is the contract table. Now in the customer tables, we have four different attributes: customer ID, first name of the customer, last name of the customer, and phone numbers. And these are different informations of different customers. Here you can see that this customer ID is also available in the contract table, because through this contract table we can access that particular customers here. So customer ID will be used to access that particular customers from this tables. So we should not provide all these information again in this table, because we have customer ID here, and through this ID we can access this information from the customer tables. Similarly, we have contract number. This is also a primary key here, but this is primary key for this table. Well, these two are primary keys here. Customer ID is the primary key in the customer table, while contract number is the primary key in the contract table. Primary key, as its name indicates, this is the major key or the information or the attributes which is used to uniquely define the particular entity. For example, 11008 is only available for this particular records. It cannot be here again. So that's why it should be unique here. Similarly, contract number can also be the unique. But when we are using this primary key here in another table, and that primary key will be now called the foreign key here, but it can be replicated here in this another tables. For example, you can see that 11005 is in this attribute, while here it is again here in this particular record, and here it is here again. So that means this primary key, which is a foreign key here, is redundant into three different records here. But these three records have a unique primary key called the contract number. You can see 3015 and 3033 and 3060 is in fact unique for this particular records here. So these are different key concepts here. This is the foreign keys and there is the common fields. And also three contracts for O1 hoist. That means that this O1 person has three different contracts here. And the contract number is 315 for the first contract, 333 for the second contract, and 360 is for the third contract. So hopefully you will understand that why there is so much important information in the primary key, and that is if in another second table, then this primary key is called the foreign key here. Relational database management systems are the software systems which is used to process the databases, and these databases can be in the form of a relationals. Relational mean that in the format of a tabular way. So relational database management system, that is DBMS systems, are certain softwares which are used to process the databases in the form of a tabular format. Here relational database management system are certain software systems like Microsoft Access is one of the relational database management system which is used to organize a collection of different tables. Now here look at this example. For example, if we have a full databases here or the informations here, then that can be called the relational database management system. And then through the relational database management system, we can access through our own computer these informations. For example, these information can be displayed through the queries on our computer, our user can interact with the databases through our computer systems using the relational database management system, and that will communicate to the databases. Also, the relational database management system, for example, our Microsoft Access, can be used to print the records here using the printers, and these records can be accessed from the tables or the relations or the databases that can be stored physically on the hard disk here. Dear students, our relational database management system here is the Microsoft Access, and we will use Microsoft Access to create the databases here. So it's very much important to understand the front end of the Microsoft Office. And here, the Microsoft Access is an important tool used for the processing of the relational databases. First, we have the ribbon. This is called overall the ribbon. It is exactly containing different functions which are used to process or create the databases. Here is the database tab where you can create the database. Here we have the quick access toolbars, for example, to save the databases, and undo and redo operations are here. Then we have access Windows title bars here that define the title of the database when we will store here. Here are the sizing buttons used to close or maximize and minimize the Microsoft Access. Then we have this important two different pans here. One is the shutter bar open close buttons. Here you can open or close buttons. But here inside of this pan you can create different databases and forms and the different sort of the reports here. And here we will be able to create the database, and we can also perform the input output operations inside of the databases here. So that means that here we will create different sort of the uh, tables, and also we will define the columns by adding a new fields here. So we define the column data types, and also we can define the primary key fields here. Also we have navigation panes to navigate among different tables. We have also status bar here. Status bar defines that whether we have in fact created the database or not. Here is the table data sheets, means that this is the overall table data sheets in which we can view different tables inside of the databases. So in our examples, we will explore this GUI soon. First important task is to create the database in the data sheets here. To create the database, we have to click on the tables, and then under the table buttons we will define the ID as a primary key, and it can be the auto number. Auto number can be incremented by automatic way, so when you should type the other attributes automatically, here the auto number will be created, and then it can auto numbers is in fact auto incremented here. Then we will double click to add the new fields or the columns and the headings, and then we will also define the data types of that particular tables and our attributes here. So we can press the tab keys or the enter keys to access that particular attributes here. So all these operations we will perform practically here in the examples, that all the fields in the tables we can type the names and columns, or by pressing the tab keys or pressing the enter keys to move from one column to the next column. Also we can define the field names. The field names are the unique, should be the name of the fields which define the purpose of the field, for example student marks, student address, or teacher subjects, etc. These defines the field names here. After defining the field's name, we can then enter the values inside of the record. So it can be entered through typings, and when we complete the typing, then we will press the tab key, or by pressing the enter key, then we will move to the next column or next attributes there. And after entering the records at the end, we requires to save the tables here, so that the all changes should be saved permanently. So for this purpose, we will click the save buttons, then the records will be saved here. Now this is the GUI that will in fact help us to create the database. You can see here is the table 1, and here is the colon table that defines that it is a table. When we will right click here and then we will open the tables, then we will see different attributes of the tables, that contract number, customer ID, contract amounts, and then signatures, signing dates, and contract types. So all these are different columns are the attributes here. So values for this first record will go in this row here. So if this is first empty, that means that we need to type here the different values of these attributes here. So 5 fields names should be entered here. It depends on the types of entity that we are going to store here. Here we have entered different records. For example, customer number, these are different customer numbers. And then we have customer ID, contract amounts in the dollars, and signing dates, and then we have contract types. So these are different values that we have typed here. After entering different records, then at the end we require to save the tables. So just click on the save buttons on the top of the Microsoft Access, then you will be able to save the records or the tables. And then the Microsoft Access will give you a dialog box with the save option that you can also save as. So then the particulars folder or the directory will be asked from you, where you will type the folder or the directory where you want to save the table. So the table name text box will be appears, so you need to provide the table names and then click on OK button to save the tables. Dear students, now we will demonstrate here Microsoft Access. So for this purpose, we should switch to the Microsoft Access, and I will open a new Microsoft Access documents to create the tables for you. So for this purpose, type here access, just access. When you type the access, then access apps will appear here. Click here or launch it here. So now you will see the Microsoft Access that will be appear for you here. So meanwhile, you can see that Access panels has appears where you can create the new documents of the Microsoft Access. You can also open the existing databases here. So I'm here creating the new blank database. So click on blank database. Here you can provide the valid name of your database. So for example, I want to create student database, and that will be created in the documents folder. Just click on the creates. So meanwhile, the student database will be created by the Microsoft Access. Now you can see that here the student database has been created, and in this database there is only one table. Here you can see that the student.microsoft Access database has been created here, and here is the table 1. Table 1 is the first table that has been created by Microsoft Access, but currently this table has nothing, no attributes and no records here. So first you need to design this database for this table. So right click here and click on the design view. So the system is asking from you to save the name of the database. This tables by default it is table 1. You can type that, for example, I like that it is the BS student table. So I typed BS student table. Okay, click OK. So now the design mode has started here of this BS table. First, the attribute is registration number, and registration number. You can also type complete. So this is the auto number. You can change its type. For example, if you want to type um, the registration number by yourself, so it can be long text, can be number, can be large number, date and times, time extends, that is date and time, currency also can be auto numbers, yes, no, that is the boolean, OLE, object linking and embedding objects, or can it be hyperlinks, attachments, calculated, etc. So I will take here the auto number because the system will automatically increment this number from here. Now I need to type the another attribute here should be student name. Remember that here you can add words any spaces like student underscore name or student just name. So because these are certain sort of the specials fields names. Here then in the seconds you will provide the data types of this attribute. So data type should be short text or long text here. Basically short text is better here. Then we have the marks attribute. Student marks are just marks. Here I will pick the number because marks are specified in the number. And the last one, for example, here I can type the address attributes here. So I will type address. This is the address attribute. Address can be long text because mostly address attribute requires large amount of information. Now after designing the tables, then I need to save this table. So click on save. Now this table has been saved here. Remember that here registration number is a primary key here. If it is, you do not want this primary key, then click here. You can see that this symbol has disappeared. Again I will click. Now you can see that this is the primary key. It means that no two students should be assigned the same registration number. Again I will save the database. Now this is the table which has been designed. Now close this and now right click here, click on open. This table has now been opened. Now using your tabs keys or just clicking here, you can type the information about these different entities or different columns or attributes. For example, here I will type the student name, for example Ahmad, and automatically you can see that the first student name is provided with the registration number of 1 because it is auto increments and automatically assigns. Then we have types the marks of the student, for example 500. Then address, for example address of the student is cohort. Now there is no third another attributes here. So next click here and type another student name, for example Hassan. Here 600 marks and it is its address is Peshawar. Third student, for example Ali, and its name is its marks are 900, for example, and its address is, for example Islamabad. And fourth one, for example Umar, and its address is, for example, for 50 students marks and address is, for example Karachi. So these 4 records are sufficient. After typing the records, you are required to save these changes. Now these are saved here. Now you can see that this is the tabular formats where you can in fact perform different operations like saving records, printing records, all these can be performed here. So this is the database system which contains our tables where we have types for different records inside of this table. From here you can switch back to different records. For example, 1 of 2 4, 2 of 4, 3 of 4 and 4 of 4. So after 4 you have no another record, so you cannot, because 5 of 5 is empty, so you can switch among these records here. Also you can search any data here. For example, I want to search Ali, so you can see that has been searched here. If I will search some names which are not here, for example, um, uh, like Danish is not here, so this will not search that full records here because Danish is not available here. For example, ZZZ, you can see that this record has not been searched here. Now, this is how to save the records. You can also open the existing database just like in the Microsoft suites, like in the Microsoft Word or in the Microsoft PowerPoint. You can go to files, then click on the open, then open dialog will appears where you can open the existing databases. So this is, for example, an example tables which we have created. We have created the student table. Here is the different example tables here. You can also navigate through this. This record which already I have demonstrated is that if you click this buttons, it will go to the first records. If you click this button, it will go to the last records and previous record, and then next records and new record here. So this is demo effects here. For example, you can switch between different records from here. For example, next record, next record, next record, and previous record. These are the previous. This is the first record. Already we are on the first, and this is goes to the last records here. So already we are on the last record. This is new blank record. So we have no other records. So that's why it will show you the new blank record. Here you want to go to first record. This is the first record here. So this is how you can switch among different records using these buttons. Now, creating a simple query. Query is in fact certain programming statement which retrieve the database or which process the database. A query is a certain questions which is asked from the data stored in the database, and a simple query wizard is allow you to select the particular record here. Now, to create a simple query, just we need to in fact create a new query. Then we will in fact use a certain query attributes that, for example, if I want to access to the contract number, then I will add this query or the field informations here, and then click on next to define the query here, and then we will in fact create a certain forms here. This is very important topics, how to create a form here, that is a simple form. The form provides you certain front end which will enable you to enter or edit or view the records in the database. The form is a front view of the database, and it is used to provide you the database in a user friendly format, because we can also interact with the tables, but form is better option than just interacting with the tables. So the forms provides you the front end or the graphical user interface where a user interacts with the different information in the tables. So forms can be created by simple ways with one mouse clicks here. So we will design the forms here. So for this purpose, I will switch to my database system. This is the database system. Here, click on the create to create the forms here. So when you click on the create, here you can see that there are different options for the forms. So better is to create the forms through the form wizards here. Here we will create a sample reports here. So click form wizards to create a sample form here. So click here how many attributes do you require to be available in your form? So better is to add all the attributes. So you can add the individual here as well. Similarly, you can remove these attributes from here. You can add all the attributes at once. So that's why I added all the attributes. Click next. What is the shape or the formats of your form here? So how the form should look like or the layout of the form. So if they are the columnar, so it will look like this way. Tabular is like this way. Similarly, data sheets, and justified. Basically, the tabular is better one. Click next, and here open the form to view the informations or modify the form designs. You can also modify design, but I will create the forms. So finish it. Now you can see that here the form has been created here for this database. This is the student database. This is the form database here, right? So you can in fact add or change certain values. So by using this form, this is exactly like the database tables, but its view is little bit different from here. Now, if you right click here and click on the design view of this form, now this is the design view of the form. So you can in fact design this forms. So here first we will have registration number. These are the attributes. This is the student's name, marks and address. So for example, if you want to remove this space between student name and marks, so you can change this as here from here. So you can move from this point to the another point here. So now you will see that after making these changes, there it will be the change in the format of this form as well here. Similarly, you can move this attributes to somewhere here, for example, little towards my right positions. Now, after aligning these attributes are the design of this form, now you requires to save it again. So click on save. Now right click here, open it. So you can see that this is in fact that first attributes which has been shown here. So now you can undo this all these operations so that you will see the original format of this form. There are also another operations over these forms. So for this purpose, you can add different sorts of the another buttons or the controls here on this form. So it's very much important to add different another control like buttons and text boxes and labels on this part of of the form. So for this purpose, click on View, and here you need to click on that particular options. For example, this is the labels or text box. This is the label. This is the buttons, and this is the tab controls. Similarly, these are different links and combo bars, radio button, checkbox, etc. and pictures boxes here. So I need a certain operation here. So click on these buttons and just drag click here. When you click here on that title bar, you need to click it here only. So then you have to specify that particular operation you want to associate with this button. So I need to find the records here. So click on the find, click on next. Which sort of view you want for these buttons? Find records are picture box. So I requires picture box, click next and click finish. So when you click finish, you can see that there are multiple sort of the buttons for this. So here you will see that there are different buttons here. So that's why if you select only one, so for example, I requires it's somewhere here. So you can do it from here. Now, if I will click on this small buttons, click here, you can find any sort of the records here. For example, I require to find the record number 6, which is not here. So click on that. So here is no such records which has been searched. For example, I want to search record number 3. So you can see that record number 3 has been searched here. For example, similarly, I want to search son name here. Find next. Here, consider that that particular record has been searched here. This is how you can perform certain operations using this over this form here. Now we will resume to our slides. This was the form. Another important type of entity we can create using the Microsoft Access is to create a simple reports. Report is a certain printout or screen displays of the different contents of our tables in the database system. So a report includes different tools which are used to find out the information inside of our database systems, and the reports are used to provide us the quickest way to create a reports through the reporting tools. So this is the example of the reports. You can see that reports are in fact printable documents here. So we can print the reports here. For example, if the students DMC which contains different information about the marks of the students, then this will be printable, and we can also insert, for example, date and times over the DMC. We can also insert the logo here. So this is how you can create a simple report here. This is the way to create reports, and after creating the report, the output of the report will look like this way. So here you can see there is the icon, contract, and also we have different informations of the tables which are displayed here in the form of records here. And similarly, you can go to the last page of your reports. You can go to the first page as well if there are more contents in that database. You can also perform the printing of these reports by performing different operations such as the print preview, print buttons, and also you can perform the printing settings dialogues from the printing reports here. At the end, you can switch from one sort of the uh, objects to the next objects. Next, we can click on the tables, and the table will be opened. We can also click on form, that form will be opened. Also, we can click on that particular report. That particular reports will be opened here. Now, dear students, we will create a sample report of this table, dear student table. So for this purpose, click on the create option here. Then click on the report wizards. Report wizard will appear how many attributes you require to be available in your report. So click on all, click on next. Also another you want to create these reports, so you can add all these operations here. So already we have added these attributes. Click on next, and then again click on next. What sort of the layout of your report requires? For example, this is the column reports, this is tabulars. I require tabular, so this is justified. Tabular is better. You can view the portrait or the landscape orientation. So portrait or landscape depends on your paper size. Click on next, click on finish. Now you can see that this is the report that has been generated here. So there are only 4 records here. So if you want more records, if you enter more records here in this table, so another record will also be available here for you. And this is the in fact printable reports that has been created here. By clicking this print buttons, you can print this reports here. So You can also insert different icons or different logos on the top of this printable reports here. So this is how you can print the report here of this particular tables in the database. So this was the reports creation idea. Dear students, this is the end of this lecture, and here is the book reference for you. If you want to study more about the Microsoft Access, this is very much easy and important book for you. That is MOS Study Guide. That is Exam MO 500 Microsoft Access Experts, written by Paul McFidries. And you should download and read these books. And if you have any question, you can ask the question through the email. My email is m.kadim@kust.edu.pk. I will wait for your question and will respond soon as you send the email to me. Thank you very much. Dear student, this is the end of the lecture. Here is the book reference for you. The book is Excel for Beginners, written by M.L. Humphrey. This is very much easy book, so you should download and read this book. Also, if you have any questions, you can ask this question through the email. My email is m.kadim@kust.edu.pk. I will answer your emails as soon as I get them. Thank you very much.